Benjamin, out of spite after fighting with his beloved Amanda, deliberately confessed to me, a poor scholarship student. I said yes. Amanda glanced at me with pity in her eyes and advised, "You'd better take the chance to get a few designer bags out of him while he's still mad at me." I didn't care. Whether he liked me or not didn't matter. What mattered was, Benjamin was handsome and rich. No matter how you looked at it, I was coming out ahead. Later, at my wedding with Benjamin, Amanda barged in wearing a wedding dress, eyes red. She pleaded with Benjamin to leave with her. I used to be selfish and didn't know how to cherish what we had. But there's still time to fix this. The man beside me remained calm, motioned for security to remove her, and turned to me apologetically. "I'm sorry, I didn't handle things properly. I promise it won't happen again." See? Even a wild dog can be tamed. Chapter 1. From start to finish, I knew all about Benjamin confessing to me just to get back at Amanda. That night, I was working a last-minute shift at a convenience store near campus. The street outside was deserted in the late hours, only streetlights and mosquitoes for company. Suddenly, the sharp sound of an argument pierced the quiet, drawing attention like a blade slicing through the stillness. I immediately snapped out of my drowsiness and, bored, pricked up my ears to listen. And just like that, I heard my own name. I was so startled I almost jumped. I looked up and saw two figures at the entrance, both attractive. A striking couple. They looked familiar. After a moment, I remembered they were Benjamin and Amanda, campus celebrities who frequently showed up on the university gossip board. Benjamin's face was flushed with anger, his beautiful eyes filled with disappointment and sorrow. "So you really want me to be with someone else?" Amanda crossed her arms, her pretty face expressionless. Oriana is the campus queen of a university, top of her class. Beautiful and charismatic. What? Are you saying you're getting the short end of the stick with her? I touched my chin and silently agreed with Amanda's logic. Benjamin's eyes turned slightly red, his voice trembling. "Amanda, you know full well that." Amanda covered her ears and shut her eyes, clearly done with hearing anything more. From his unfinished words, I could tell Benjamin truly liked Amanda. No surprise there. Word was they were childhood friends. It made sense he had feelings for her. Disappointment settled on Benjamin's face. "Fine, as you wish." Amanda walked away, leaving Benjamin standing there, lonely. He stepped into the convenience store and wandered aimlessly. I was glad I had a mask on. He didn't recognize me, or that would have been awkward. In the end, Benjamin bought a can of beer and a few skewers of Odin, sitting alone by the floor-to-ceiling window. His shadow stretched under the cold light, while pretending to organize the shelves. I secretly watched him. His long lashes trembled, the tip of his nose tinged pink. From the side, he looked like he could shatter at any moment. I muttered in my heart, "I'm just an innocent bystander who hasn't even said a word. What are you heartbroken about?" Realizing I was about to be confessed to, I narrowed my eyes, mind spinning fast. Everything Benjamin wore was designer. His fashion sense was on point, making him look like a cool, aloof prince from a wealthy family, impossible to miss in a crowd. Even back in freshman year, I'd heard Benjamin was a rich second-generation kid, but he was always low-key, never flashy, and apparently had good grades. He was active in clubs too, and even now, even while angry, he didn't trash anything or curse, just quietly processed his emotions. Great background, solid character, pleasing to the eyes, honestly, not a bad guy at all. With that in mind, I tapped a few keys on my mental calculator. No matter how this played out, being pulled into this game was a win for me. Chapter 2. The second time I saw Benjamin was a few days later. At the school cafeteria, I was working a part-time job at the spicy beef waffle stall. Just past peak lunch hour, Benjamin strolled in slowly, standing in front of the dazzling array of dishes, holding a brand new meal card. He looked a bit lost and unsure. Seemed like the young master had never eaten commoner food before. I handed him a basket and tongs, kindly explaining that he should choose his food first, then swipe the card at checkout. After fumbling to make his selections, Benjamin politely handed his tray to me. "No chili, please." "Thank you." I smiled sweetly and agreed, then turned and whispered to the cook at the back to add extra chili. And so came the now famous scene of Benjamin sweating and tearing up from the spice. He came over good-naturedly and asked, "Excuse me, Is this spicy beef offal made incorrectly? It's way too spicy. I can't eat it. Seeing him in such a mess, I feigned surprise and apologized profusely. I'm so sorry. I must have mixed up the orders. Let me get you a new one. Before he could respond, I'd already swiped my own meal card to pay for it. Then I quickly bought him a jasmine milk tea from the next stall as an apology. That flustered Benjamin instead. Sorry to trouble you. You really didn't have to spend money. I smiled and shook my head, saying it was my fault and I should take responsibility. What I was actually thinking was, it's fine, you'll repay me later with something much more valuable. With the conversation now flowing, he learned I was an economics major and seemed a bit surprised. So, does your class also have Professor Wang's linear algebra course this semester? Benjamin was majoring in business administration. I acted pleasantly surprised. Looks like we have fate. Can I ask you for help if I run into trouble with linear algebra? A faint smile lit up his features, like a gentle spring breeze. Of course, I'm taking macroeconomics this term too. How about we add each other on WeChat? I might need your help too, as thanks for lunch. He didn't brag, and knew how to show just the right amount of vulnerability. Very skilled at winning people over. After adding each other, I casually scrolled through Benjamin's moments. Everything was public. His posts were all wholesome and positive, no showing off wealth. No dumb opinions, just photos about family, food, books, and travel. The image he wanted to project to me was crystal clear, clean and straightforward. Catching a glimpse of his faintly furrowed brows, I curved my lips into a subtle smile. Because I didn't have any moments at all. My profile photo was a simple landscape, and my display name was just A. If he wanted to get to know me through the sidelines, he'd find nothing, which meant, to understand me, he'd have to put in real effort. Chapter 3. To be fair, Benjamin's approach to pursuing someone suited me perfectly. It also matched his gentle and refined temperament. Unlike the typical rich kids who go over the top with gifts and flowers, making a spectacle of their shallow, fleeting love, Benjamin was different. He found various excuses to show up around me, eating in the cafeteria together, arranging to study in the library, and even personally picking me up after my late-night shifts and walking me back to the dorm. Knowing my financial situation, he was careful with gifts, starting with inexpensive items worth a few dozen yuan, then gradually increasing to a few hundred, and finally to electronics worth several thousand. Never once did he cross the 10,000 yuan threshold, deliberately so, to avoid making me feel burdened or highlighting the huge gap between our worlds. Every gift was thoughtfully chosen. Slowly, subtly, he began reshaping the way I saw value in money. Like a skilled hunter lurking in the forest, patient, silent, observing his prey's every move, aiming to take it down in a single strike. But in the end, it's hard to say who actually pulled the trigger. After a month, with me deliberately lowering my guard, things between Benjamin and me progressed rapidly. Yet something still remained between us, a thin, invisible veil that neither of us could break through. Amid all the curious glances and ambiguous whispers from classmates, I carried on unfazed, studying and working like always. Benjamin, on the other hand, seemed to be growing impatient, perhaps because he and Amanda had been in a cold war, and she hadn't shown up around him for a long time, maybe even deliberately. Avoiding him, this gave Benjamin and me more chances to spend time together. Still, I stayed clear-headed. I knew Benjamin was only pursuing me to make Amanda regret. Even my roommate Ava couldn't resist gossiping. Oriana, when are you and Benjamin officially getting together? I'm waiting for that celebratory dinner, my treat. Hee hee. I pinched her cheek and replied, what's the rush, you greedy girl? When it happens, I'll treat you to wagyu and fancy sushi. I glanced at the calendar. The timing, I figured, was just about right. The next time I met Benjamin, my eyes were red, hair messy, and mood visibly low. He quickly pulled out some tissues, crouched down, and gently asked, what's wrong? I shook my head and said nothing, just kept crying. He didn't press, only rubbed my back comfortingly. Once I calmed down, I explained through sniffles that I was furious because my application for a financial hardship scholarship had been snatched away by a few wealthy classmates. They were close with the class monitor and the student council rep. When I reported it to the academic advisor, I found out they were all in on it. They even threatened to withhold my graduation certificate if I didn't shut up. I gave a bitter smile and said to him, "Whatever. If I don't get it, then I don't get it. I can always work to support myself." Benjamin stayed quiet for a long while. Then he ruffled my hair and said gently, "How can this just be let go? Leave it to me. Don't be sad anymore." I shook my head, refusing. "No, don't get yourself in trouble over me, not if it'll cost your graduation." Benjamin sat down, held my shoulders, and looked me in the eyes as he said, word by word, "The Oriana I know wouldn't give up so easily. Ever since I was young, my parents told me, if something belongs to you, you must take it back by any means necessary, even if it throws the world into chaos. Even if it's lost in the end, you can't let someone else have it. If you had the chance to do it all over again, would you fight or give up?" I stared at him and gave a firm answer. "I'd fight, even if I don't get it. Even if I'm shattered and crushed to dust. I'll make sure no one else gets it either." Benjamin smiled brightly, looking at me with admiration, as if, after wandering alone across a barren wasteland, he'd finally found someone of his own kind. He was thrilled. "Let me handle it," he said, and finally, he sighed softly. "Oriana, I'm just one of your tactics too." Chapter 4. So you're with Benjamin just to use him, not because you like him? Ava shrieked. Coming to her own conclusion, I calmly applied a face mask, and when I turned my head, I saw her mouth wide open, looking utterly shocked. I chuckled and helped her close her dropped jaw. Well, what else? Would I really choose a guy just to suffer together in poverty? If Benjamin couldn't even handle something as basic as this, then he had no value in my eyes. He wouldn't be worth my time anymore. Ava nodded in agreement. I used to think Benjamin was the perfect boyfriend. Ugh. Turns out he's just another scumbag, deceiving some other girl's feelings. I said plainly, Benjamin and I are using each other. It's a clean trade, no debts between us. Feelings don't really have any use in my life. Even if Amanda wasn't in the picture, even if Benjamin genuinely liked me, I'd never fall headfirst into romance like some brainless fool. That made Ava a bit worried. But if you do say yes to Benjamin, this thing might end quickly. After all, Amanda's his true love, her position is unshakable. Wouldn't that leave you shortchanged? I shrugged nonchalantly. If we're talking value, I'm his first love, according to the law of diminishing returns. That carries equally significant weight. Less than 2 days later, the dean of the School of Economics and Management called me into his office. Faced with the pale faces of the counselor, the class monitor, and the student rep, a nest of snakes and rats, I knew Benjamin had already settled everything. The only surprise was Benjamin wasn't present. Once the issue of the financial aid was resolved, the ambiguous phase between me and Benjamin reached its peak. That day, a gentle breeze rippled across campus, painting the sky with streaks of fading clouds. Benjamin stood quietly outside the dormitory, holding a bouquet of cappuccino roses, ready to confess to me. It was right at dinner time. People were coming and going, surrounding him with stares and photos, curious about what kind of girl had managed to win Benjamin's heart. Before showing up, he had texted me, even when I didn't come down. He didn't show a trace of impatience. He just stood there like a jade sculpture, tall, still, and well-behaved. Ava came running to report live updates, urging me to hurry downstairs. I remained unmoved, slowly eating the meal I brought back from the cafeteria. She panicked and tried to snatch my chopsticks away. "You greedy glutton. Stop eating. Once you and Benjamin get together, he'll treat you to a candlelit dinner." I tossed her my phone and told her to check the campus gossip wall. She picked it up and saw Benjamin had posted a long, emotional confession under his real name. He detailed every little moment of how we met and interacted, overflowing with sincerity and emotion. At the end, he asked if I'd be his girlfriend. The comment section was filled with people gushing over how sweet it was. Everyone was shipping us. I asked Ava, what kind of person writes stuff like that? Ava thought for a second and said, someone with a lovesick, clingy brain. That's what I do when I'm begging my boyfriend to get back together. I gave her a look of approval. Exactly. So what's the rush? The power was in my hands. She asked me, so, have you read what he wrote? I shook my head. Then I thought for a moment and asked Ava to read it out loud for me, otherwise it'd be hard to fake it later when Benjamin followed up. She was confused. Why? I kept chewing on my chicken leg and replied, "It's way too long to read, but your voice is nice. Makes the food go down easier." Chapter 5. In the end, Ava agreed to read the love letter out loud in exchange for 5 big meals. By the time she finished reading, I had also leisurely finished dinner. Then I slowly went off to wash my hair and take a shower. It was my first time accepting a confession. Of course I had to be fully armed and needed in my most beautiful form. By the time everything was done, an hour and a half had passed. Ava craned her neck to peek downstairs at the lone figure still standing there. He's still waiting. I glanced at WeChat. There wasn't a bombardment of messages from Benjamin. Instead, he had sent me one message every 30 minutes. "Oriana, I'm downstairs at your dorm. I'll wait for you, however long it takes." Persistent and patient, Benjamin had the kind of resolve that ensured success in whatever he did. That was one of the reasons I chose him. As I walked slowly toward Benjamin, his eyes lit up, and he couldn't help but press his lips into a smile. A small dimple appeared on his left cheek. He looked just like a stray puppy, overjoyed to finally be taken in. I gave a small, polite apology. Sorry for the wait. But I would never tell him why I stayed upstairs for so long, because Benjamin wouldn't dare ask. He was too close to success to risk ruining it, so he turned a blind eye to all the little delays. When it finally came time to confess, Benjamin stumbled through his words. "Oriana, I like you. I really like you." I took the bouquet of cappuccino roses, tilted my head, and gave him a sweet smile. "Then I'll be in your care from now on, boyfriend." His face flushed red instantly, like the evening clouds had fallen from the sky to bloom across his cheeks. And just like that, Benjamin and I were officially together. I pulled him close, pressed my face against his, and took a selfie, our official announcement, and posted it on my WeChat moments. In the photo, Benjamin's fair skin had taken on a rosy hue. He looked dazed, staring blankly into the camera. Very quickly, the post was flooded with likes and well wishes. That entire evening, Benjamin's phone wouldn't stop buzzing. Every now and then, he'd stare at the glowing screen, lost in thought. I stirred my coffee, resting my chin in one hand, quietly watching every flicker of disappointment on his face. He was waiting for a message from Amanda, but he wouldn't get one, because, well, I'd already switched to my alternate WeChat account and checked Amanda's moments. She was at a bar, locked in a hot, sweaty dance with some handsome new guy she just reeled in. Chapter 6. Naturally, I was curious how Amanda would react too. A week ago, we crossed paths for the second time at a burger joint. It was around 6 or 7 p.m. Peak dinner rush. I was working the counter, taking orders, handling payments, serving food. Amanda, in light makeup and a white dress, stood near the register, silently observing me. Only after the crowd died down did she approach to place her order. After ordering, she skipped over plenty of empty tables and deliberately chose the one piled with leftover crumbs and trash. Then called me over to clean it. My coworker Ava, who was also working part-time, couldn't stand Amanda's behavior. She grabbed a rag and volunteered to do it for me, but I stopped her. "She's targeting me. You going won't make a difference. Go fry the fries in the back." Thankfully, Amanda didn't push it too far. I knew she was just curious about me. She wasn't here to cause trouble. She probably thought Benjamin would never fall for someone from the bottom of the social ladder. Too bad she underestimated Benjamin's deep-rooted stubbornness and my ambition. When I showed up holding hands with Benjamin in front of his friends, I didn't miss the look of shock and rage in Amanda's eyes. Even thinking back now, it's still pretty funny. 1 week into our relationship, Benjamin's birthday came around. On the way to his family's villa, Benjamin was clearly distracted. He didn't respond to several things I said. I got the hint and stopped talking. Only when we reached the villa gates did he snap out of it and grasp my hand tightly. I teased him on purpose. "Am I that embarrassing to show off? Want me to call a taxi and go home now?" Benjamin blinked back to life and pulled me into a side hug. Smiling, "Oriana, don't overthink it. You look beautiful tonight." Before the party, he'd even hired a stylist to help dress me up. He added comfortingly, "The people here tonight are just my usual close friends. Just stay by my side and you'll be fine." I nodded sweetly. As soon as we stepped into the grand hall, all the chatter died instantly. Every pair of eyes turned to me, curious, amused, full of gossip. But one gaze in particular felt like knives, relentless and unblinking. Benjamin confidently introduced me to everyone. They all stood up to greet me warmly, because Benjamin's status towered above theirs. Except Amanda. Our eyes met, and I instantly understood the fury burning in hers. To her, Benjamin was a toy, even if it gathered dust. No one else was allowed to touch it. This felt like betrayal. Amanda scoffed and walked off without a word, heels clicking as she climbed the stairs. I glanced at Benjamin, his expression gave away nothing. Unreadable as a blank wall, but it wasn't hard to guess. People tend to love what they can't have, with equal parts passion and hate. That's the essence of love, isn't it? Wanting the moon to hang in the sky for you to admire, while secretly wishing it would fall into your hands so you could keep it all to yourself. But that wouldn't matter after tonight. The party went on. When I came out of the bathroom, I ran into Amanda, leaning against a wall and smoking. The ember at her fingertips flickered between crimson nails. Her side profile, elegant, cold, was shrouded in smoke like a painting. She made you think of just one phrase, weaponized beauty. As I walked past her, she called out, "Oriana." I stopped. She raised her head and looked me over slowly, then sneered. "Did you know Benjamin's confession was just a gamble? He never liked you. He only got with you to make me jealous, to get my attention. I may not love Benjamin, but trust me, don't fall too hard." My hands clenched the hem of my dress. I showed just the right mix of shock and sadness. "That's not true. Benjamin told me I was the first person he ever truly liked." Amanda lit another cigarette, her voice casual. "Sweetheart, if you want to survive in our world, rule number 1, never believe a word a man says." Then she spilled every detail about the bet between her and Benjamin. As my expression turned blank and hollow, she lit up, pleased, and offered me advice with a look of pity. "Take this chance while he's still mad at me, milk a few handbags out of him. Otherwise, when he gets bored and dumps you, it'll be too late to ask for severance." I shifted to look furious and shouted, "How can you treat someone's feelings like a game? You don't respect people at all. You don't deserve anyone's love." Amanda shook her head, as if sorry for my naivety. "Well then, I'll leave it to you to love him for me." Then she pressed her cigarette against my dress, burning a hole right over my chest. My heart bled. Seriously, was it not enough to insult me with words? Did she really have to get physical too? That dress could have fetched a year's tuition on a second-hand site. Now, it's worth maybe 199 yen, tops. Chapter 7. I caught a glimpse of Benjamin hidden in the shadows and knew my part in tonight's act was over. I walked away in a daze, leaving the two of them to confront each other. From what I knew about Benjamin, his pride was like fine crystal, dazzling but fragile. He would never tolerate anyone trampling it. After tonight, chances were high they'd break for good, but it still needed one final push. I sat on the sofa, idly picking at the gold-colored pillar beside me. From the look of it, it seemed like it was coated with real 24-karat gold leaf. My heart raced. If I could scrape a bit off every day, I could probably make a decent profit. I tried clawing at it a few times, but my nails came up clean. On closer inspection, there was a layer of hard, transparent protective coating. I sighed. Guess it was installed to guard against poor people like me. My thoughts wandered back to the lively party crowd. No one had come up to talk to me. The root cause was Benjamin's attitude. He hadn't fully acknowledged me. They all knew Benjamin was only dating me to provoke Amanda. It was all just for show. Just as I was figuring out my next move, someone tossed a cushion onto my lap. Several shadows gathered around me. It was a group of Amanda's friends. Leading them was Sean Koo, Benjamin Koo's older cousin, also known as Amanda's #1 simp. Word had it Sean wasn't originally surnamed Koo, but he clung to the Koo family for business connections and changed his name just to curry favor. With the Koo family as his backing, Sean acted arrogantly wherever he went. He smiled at me and said, "Oriana, we're playing truth or dare over there. We're short a person. Be a sport. Join us?" I agreed with a soft, submissive okay. Conveniently enough, I lost a round of dare. Everyone laughed and hooted as they lifted me and tossed me into the pool. The moment I hit the water and saw Sean's smug grin, I knew he was taking revenge on Amanda's behalf. I thrashed in the water, trying to get to the edge. Under Sean's orders, someone pushed me back down, over and over. I was submerged until water flooded my throat and I couldn't even cry for help. No one around stepped in, they just watched in silence. Besides Benjamin, Sean held the most influence here. Eventually, as I sank below the surface, I heard a splash above. Someone had jumped in. I was pulled from the water. Air rushed back into my lungs as I gasped and opened my eyes. It was Benjamin. He held me up while others reached out and helped pull us both onto the deck. I leaned weakly into his arms. From the corner of my eye, I caught Amanda's livid expression, my lips curled into a tiny, unnoticed smile. Benjamin cast a cold, sweeping glare at the group who'd orchestrated everything. Not a soul dared to make a sound. Before he even said a word, several of the more tactful ones shoved the others into the pool, one by one. Except Sean. He tried to play the family card. All smiles. Come on, Ben. She and I were just fooling around. Benjamin lifted his leg and kicked him straight into the water without hesitation. No one pulls them out unless I say so. The others didn't dare disobey. Soaked and humiliated, they stayed in the pool, too afraid to climb out. Benjamin scooped me up and carried me back toward the house. Benjamin, Amanda called out behind him, her voice sharp and bitter, laced with unwillingness. Benjamin turned, looked at her coldly, and spat out one word: leave. Chapter 8. Once we were out of sight from the others, I pulled myself out of Benjamin's arms. He grabbed my wrist, his voice urgent. You're mad? I silently shook him off, my expression unreadable. Amanda told me everything. Benjamin froze, head lowered, not daring to meet my eyes. He muttered, I'm sorry. I gave a small smile. It's fine. We were never from the same world anyway. You've helped me a lot. After tonight, let's go our separate ways. Benjamin stepped forward, desperate to explain, but I took a big step back, raised my chin, looking both fragile and defiant, my eyes brimming with unshed tears. Can you take me back to the dorm? A taxi from here is expensive. It had cost me several days' worth of part-time wages. Guilt-stricken, Benjamin agreed. We rode in silence the entire way. At the dorm gate, I got out of the car without hesitation. He called after me, Oriana. I stopped, but didn't turn around. His voice was hoarse and strained. I'll come pick you up at 8 tomorrow morning. There's a new Cantonese spot on East City Road. Their dim sum's supposed to be amazing. I didn't respond. I blocked him every account, every app. Benjamin didn't come after me again. Life returned to normal. Ava asked, heartbroken? Don't tell me you fumbled this one. I looked at her and asked back, what do you think? She studied me from left to right, brows furrowed in thought. Knowing you, you'd never let something like this slip out of control. I pinched her cheek and smiled. Knew you understood me best. The next time I saw Benjamin was at a famous aquarium. He had dark circles under his eyes and stood outside the glass tank, staring at me in silence. Inside the vast blue water, my hair floated like silk. I wore a shimmering mermaid tail, swimming among the fish for guests to take photos and watch. Seeing him frozen in place, I swam closer and placed my hand against the glass, mirroring his trembling fingers from the other side. Benjamin gazed at me, dazed, a flicker of awe and shock in his eyes. After my shift, we sat side by side. He silently handed me a small bottle of warm tea. I drank it in one go, then began to speak, as if talking to myself. My stepfather used to be a swimming coach, got fired after someone died under his watch. He's been drinking himself to death ever since. When I was little, I was rebellious. He hated that, so he'd hold my head underwater to teach me a lesson. He knew exactly how long a kid could hold their breath. The first time, I was terrified. That fear of the unknown, it cut straight to the bone. By the third time, I wet myself and begged, sobbing, swearing I'd behave. After that, I became the perfect little girl. But to him, it was like he'd found a new toy, some cruel little game. Every time he drank, he tortured me like it was fun. For a long time, I was so scared I didn't dare drink water or even shower. Later I figured it out. The game wouldn't stop because he held all the power. His status, his strength, Everything. He had the right to decide whether I lived or died. So until I had power of my own, my only choice was to never look pathetic. No one knew how I overcame my fear of water. No one knew how exhausting it was to hold my breath, to pretend I was drowning, just to satisfy my stepfather's sick amusement. In many ways, he and Sean were the same kind of person, men who believed they had the right to do whatever they wanted to me. That day, if I hadn't pretended to be drowning, Sean would have found another way to torture me. So I needed to become the one on top, the one staring down as they groveled, begged, wagged their tails. Benjamin listened silently. Then he pulled me into a tight hug and gently patted my back, as if holding something precious. "I'm sorry," he said. "Can we start over?" I closed my eyes and wept quietly into his warm chest, letting him murmur all the heartfelt love he had stored deep inside. Chapter 9. Amanda Lee was forcibly sent overseas. Because of one sentence from Benjamin, the Lee family didn't dare go against it. She cried, threw tantrums, refused to leave, called Benjamin several times, only to be hung up on each time. Holding me in his arms, Benjamin reassured me. "She's been sent to Australia. She won't bother us again." I simply smiled without replying. Sean got a scolding from his parents when he came to beg me for forgiveness. He bowed, flattered, sweat pouring from his forehead, terror all over his face. Benjamin sat on the sofa playing with my fingers, not even sparing Sean a glance. He leaned close and whispered in my ear, "Oriana, you decide." I admit, in that moment, I felt a rush of pleasure, a taste of power, like standing atop a mountain, wind whipping past in a glorious, wild surge. Benjamin began to truly spoil me. Besides a monthly allowance of 100,000 yuan, there were houses, cars, gold, designer bags, nothing was left out. Ava buried herself in a pile of handbags and jewelry, inhaling the scent of wealth like it was oxygen. When will something this amazing ever happen to me? I tossed a gold bracelet into her lap. "Dump your stingy, emotionally distant boyfriend. Benjamin's financing a cafe for me. You can be the deputy manager. I'll give you a share of the profits." Ava squealed in delight, grabbed the bracelet, jumped up, and called her boyfriend. "Hey, I'm about to get rich, and you're in my way. Bye." I laughed so hard I had to hold my stomach. 2 days ago, I took a marketing class. The professor assigned a project. Every student had to open a store, and their final grade would be based on a presentation about it. Most students chose to start online shops, since the project didn't weigh heavily on the final grade. Many registered something random and then forgot about it. But I saw an opportunity and seriously consulted Benjamin on how to actually open a real business. Word was he'd started investing at 14, partnered with others to open shops, and now ran a profitable second-hand car business. He had resources, contacts, and experience, the perfect person to lay the groundwork for me. One night, after we were intimate, I curled up against him like a cat, purring out my little plan, outlining my target costs, projected revenue, and potential risks. Benjamin lazily stroked my hair, picked up his phone, and called the Koo family's assistant, instructing them to compile a list of commercial properties under his name. "Take whichever one you like to practice. Whatever you're missing, just let me know." And so, I got busy. Renovation, sourcing suppliers, business licenses, hiring staff. I was spinning like a top. Every step, Benjamin personally oversaw. Thanks to him, I avoided countless detours. On opening day, a crowd showed up with flower baskets in hand. It was buzzing with activity. Benjamin stood at the door, greeting guests with his signature peach blossom eyes. He recognized many familiar faces, his own friends. "They're all here because of you?" I casually tucked a strand of hair behind my ear and smiled faintly. "I only posted a story on WeChat. They asked about it and said they couldn't possibly not show up otherwise. They'd be disrespecting you." He raised an eyebrow. "Suspicious. When did you add them on WeChat? How come I didn't know?" Clinging to his arm, I answered breezily, "Oh, it's nothing. Aside from that one childhood friend of yours I added at dinner. The rest were just added through his referrals. We don't chat much, mostly just about you." Benjamin stared at me in silence, the look in his eyes like a deep abyss ready to swallow everything whole. After a long pause, he smiled and said, "My Oriana really is something else. Chapter 10. After earning my first real profit, I booked a trip to Antarctica for Benjamin. He had already been once before. A young master like him had probably vacationed all over the globe, but that didn't matter. What mattered was who went with him. Ever since Benjamin and I got together, quite a few girls started snooping around, trying to dig up our relationship history. Some even tried to imitate me, playing the wide-eyed innocent, hoping to accidentally create a chance encounter. Without exception, they all received nothing but Benjamin's cold, dismissive smirk. The reason was simple: Benjamin and I had a rare kind of soul-level resonance. I could stand with him on a golf course, seriously analyzing how stinky tofu was made. I could also sit with him at a smoky street barbecue, passionately discussing Jung's Red Book. Whatever topic he threw out, I never let it drop into silence. Some might think I relied on knowledge or high emotional intelligence, but Ava didn't think so. She said there was an indescribable charisma about me. The first time we met in the dorm freshman year, Ava handed over half of her living expenses, 500 yuan, after just a few words from me. Even afterward, she couldn't figure out why. She'd been fretting about money. And yet, the moment she saw my face, heard my voice, something possessed her. Stingy as she was, she gave it up with a smile. I joked, because we're the same kind of people. We're supposed to stick together. Back then, I also asked our other two roommates for help, but they looked down on me, just another girl from a tiny county town. Only Ava offered to lend me money. She came from a family that preferred sons over daughters, with younger siblings to feed. Her parents barely paid attention to her. Tuition was covered by student loans, and she earned her living expenses screwing bolts on a factory line. As for me, I had a stepfather. Once my mom remarried, she became a stepmother in all but name, only cared about my younger sister. She took all my savings to pay for my sister's tutoring and vacations. Then I fell seriously ill. The surgery only happened because I scraped together money through online lending platforms. Fresh out of the hospital, I was too weak to work and had maxed out my borrowing limits. That was the scene where Ava and I first bonded. Ava shook her head and said, "You and I aren't even in the same stratosphere. If anyone's your equal, it's Benjamin. You're both just exceptional." I didn't deny it. After bringing me into high society, Benjamin had expressed his admiration more than once. At social gatherings with his friends, they'd all ramble on about investment strategies. Then I'd casually toss in a fresh perspective, and it'd be like a firework dropped into water. Boom. Just like that, the conversation would pivot to me. One guy mentioned his parents gave him 2 million yuan to invest, and he didn't know what project to choose. I said, "Oh, I actually know someone doing wine production. Their facilities are already up. Financials look solid. I met him through Benjamin at a billiards match. He's decent. I can connect you too." In truth, that friend was a young heir defying his family to build something from scratch. He hadn't taken a dime from home and was desperate for investment. He had poured his heart out to me, and so, I passed him along. Later they worked together smoothly, and the guy offered me a referral bonus. I politely declined. It wasn't time to cash in yet. During summer break of sophomore year, I pestered Benjamin to let me intern at his company. The Coup Group is a listed enterprise with high recruitment standards, graduate-level education or above. No matter how stellar my resume looked, I couldn't meet the threshold. Even Benjamin had to start from the bottom as an intern in his own company. He didn't have the authority to place me but begrudgingly asked a favor to get me into customer service. I didn't complain, happily accepted the offer. 3 days later, I was moved to the desk next to Benjamin's. Even knowing how capable I was, he was visibly stunned when he saw me there. I waved my new staff badge at him. It turned out, the head of his department had personally come to the customer service division the day before to request my transfer. That day at the department's welcome dinner, Benjamin, rarely one to drink, downed glass after glass. No one could stop him. When I took him home, he cupped my face and whispered, with a tinge of regret, "Oriana, if only you and I came from the same kind of family, how perfect would that be?" So even now, in his eyes, I still wasn't his equal. Chapter 11. Crude words, but not wrong. To Benjamin, I was simply the girl who happened to hold his hand during that fleeting phase when he still believed in love. But in his heart, I was never a weighted measure on the scale of interests. Feelings, like a barely taut kite string in the hand, couldn't survive the storms of time. Tug too hard, and it would snap. I would enjoy this romance, but never drown in it. After Ava's fantasy of me and Benjamin as the perfect couple finally shattered, she asked, "Who do you think Benjamin will end up marrying?" Without a moment's hesitation, I gave a firm answer: Amanda. Even though Benjamin had no contact with Amanda after she was sent overseas, that didn't mean the Koo and Lee families weren't still connected. By our junior year, the two families announced a major collaborative project. Not surprisingly, their children began appearing more frequently in each other's social circles again. Amanda re-emerged at gatherings, still proud and peacock-like as ever. A textbook case of first love returns. I made the smart choice, faked an illness and skipped it. Ava, righteously indignant, said, "Why should you have to hide?" Yawning lazily, I instructed her to sell all her shares in the Koo group. Ava frowned, confused. "Why sell now? I think the price will go up a bit more tomorrow." I glanced at the message I had sent Benjamin 5 hours ago. Still unread. He used to respond in less than 30 minutes. Because the storm's about to hit. The next day, the joint project between the Koo and Lee families was abruptly terminated. Benjamin's parents were taken in for investigation on multiple economic crime charges. One fall from grace, and all the guests vanished. Everyone distanced themselves from the Koo family, terrified of getting caught in the fallout. The Lee family narrowly escaped, receiving only a formal warning and a fine. Amanda boarded a flight back to Australia overnight. Her WeChat feed was back to posting photos of food and cocktails, as if nothing had happened. Ava, who hadn't listened to me the night before, was glowing green with regret. She groaned in despair. "Are you going to break up with Benjamin now?" I replied, "Not yet. He still hasn't paid my tuition, or my entrance fee." Over the next few days, I didn't rush to see him. I went on with my life like normal. As the only son of the Koo family, with his parents behind bars, Benjamin had no choice but to step up, desperately trying to pull strings and call in favors. Only after he had hit wall after wall did I make my move, becoming the first guest to knock on the Koo family's door. Benjamin sat on the floor, his tall frame hunched in desolation, surrounded by half-empty bottles, struck by both family collapse and emotional blow. The golden boy of yesterday was now utterly broken. I straightened his shoulders and said, "Did you forget how you once encouraged me? So you ran into a few closed doors and now you're shutting down?" The Benjamin I know isn't like this. He's the kind who stops at nothing until he gets what he wants. He pulled me into his arms and cried quietly, like a helpless child. During those hard weeks, I stayed by his side. Whenever he couldn't show his face or speak directly, I took care of all the coordination on his behalf. Because I had no vested interest in the Koo family, no one questioned my movements. 1 month later, Benjamin's parents were declared innocent and released. Chapter 12. Crude as it may sound, truth often hides in it. After all this, Benjamin became even more clingy. Once he'd finished tending to his parents, he drove straight back to the apartment near campus. The moment he walked in, I flew into his arms like a little sparrow. He kissed me gently and pulled out a limited edition Hermes bag. "Oriana, my mom specially asked her SA to reserve this one. She said you're incredibly capable, and she's very grateful to you." In an instant, my whole body went cold. I said nothing, just looked at him silently, eyes wide open. Tears welled up and fell, betraying my disappointment. Benjamin looked troubled and tried to comfort me softly. "Things at the company are still a mess. My parents couldn't spare the time to meet you just yet. But I promise, I'll arrange for us to have dinner with them soon." I forced a smile and declined. "That's not necessary. They're very busy people. As the younger generation, I shouldn't bother them. A dinner doesn't really matter." A flicker of heartache passed through Benjamin's eyes. How could he not be moved by my understanding, restraint, and quiet strength? "Oriana, I promised I'd marry you. Everything else, leave it to me, all right?" I nodded obediently and let it go. Back when the Koo family lost power, Benjamin had sworn that he would marry no one but me in this lifetime. But I wasn't naive. I didn't let that sudden surge of affection cloud my mind. Why would the Koo family's elders look at me differently just because I helped them resolve a few things? With such a massive business empire, they had countless people bending over backward to curry favor. I'd simply happened to seize the opportunity that others had missed. So what if I was Benjamin's girlfriend, without any deep mutual interests? I was never going to matter to them. All I wanted was to plant a little guilt in Benjamin's heart. That guilt would come in handy someday. For the first time ever, Benjamin stayed on campus for the Mid-Autumn Festival, an unspoken gesture of defiance toward his parents. His first flicker of rebellion, but still weak, like scratching an itch through a boot, far from enough to shake the foundation. I patiently played the role of the good girl. Kids should never hold grudges against their parents. I don't want to be the one who wedges between you and them. He thought about it, agreed, and transferred me 200,000 yuan. All right. I'll come see you tomorrow. With the money in hand, I went out and treated Ava to hairy crabs. Never shortchange yourself. Chapter 13. During senior year, while everyone else scrambled for jobs or prepped for grad school, I decided to start a company. Ava and I were the only shareholders. Benjamin was not included. I didn't want messy financial entanglements. I wanted clean lines, so I could walk away easily if needed. Because of the lingering guilt from before, Benjamin was incredibly supportive of the business, taking me to suppliers, client meetings, investor pitches, business banquets big and small. He personally walked me through the door of that world. And finally, after all that, I closed a deal worth 5 million yuan. That night, I popped a bottle of champagne. Benjamin's face was flushed. His tie loosened. He raised his glass high and toasted. Congratulations, President Oriana. That President Oriana carried no affection, only professional respect for a fellow business partner. Men like women who rely on them when they offer no value. But they also like doing business with women who have something to offer. Now, I was clearly the latter. I clinked my glass with a smile. Thank you, Mr. Ku, for all your guidance. I glanced out at the bustling city lights through the floor-to-ceiling window. Cars flowed like rivers. People, small as ants, all the hardships, the planning, the quiet maneuvers, without realizing it. I had climbed high, but even in this playground of power and fame, I was still at the bottom. I looked quietly at Benjamin, watched him shed the last of his boyishness, watched him wield the vast resources of his family, move through business negotiations with ease, and become a decisive, commanding CEO. And yet, he still drove 20 kilometers for my favorite bowl of wontons, still told me good night in the dead of night, still tracked my moods to cheer me up. That only made me feel more sorrow. This love was already speeding toward its end. Luckily, the long string of numbers in my bank account didn't let the sadness last long. Back when my little sister falsely accused me of stealing money, and my mother beat me bloody just to protect her, I swore I would never love anyone but myself. As long as I had money, there was nothing I couldn't do. Chapter 14. At a business banquet one evening, I unexpectedly ran into Amanda. She stood gracefully amid the clinking glasses and buzzing crowd, her elegance seemingly untouched by time. Rumor had it that over the past 2 years, the Lee family had been declining, piling up debt, suffering losses year after year. Some of the younger members had even resorted to becoming livestream influencers, selling goods online. But when she approached me, Amanda still held her head high, spinning my business card between her fingers, smirking. Oriana, you really are something. Sucking Benjamin dry all these years, you've actually managed to become half a person. Her arrogance still came from the family name behind her. I smiled back and countered. You look tired. Why didn't you hold on to your chance and make Benjamin fund your family instead? At that, a flash of venom lit up Amanda's eyes. If you hadn't been in the way, I would have succeeded a long time ago. I lifted my glass of champagne and clinked hers without hesitation. Wasn't it you who handed him over to me in the first place? Honestly, I should be thanking you. Word had it the Lee family was trying to arrange a marriage alliance between Amanda and Benjamin, hoping to restructure assets and lighten their burden. After years of playing around, Amanda finally came to her senses and realized Benjamin was worth something. She lowered her pride and began pursuing him with everything she had. The first time she called, Benjamin was massaging my cramped calf. I glanced at the phone, no name, but the IP location was from City A. I handed it to him. He picked up for no more than 3 seconds. A cold, distant voice came through. Without blinking, he hung up. I propped my chin on my hand and watched him. He didn't flinch. Not a flicker of emotion showed on his face. The second time, she barged into Benjamin's office. She brought a lunchbox, a few bodyguards, and pushed past the secretary like she owned the place, only to find him eating lunch with me at a table full of seafood. The one type of food Benjamin couldn't stand. Amanda completely lost control, shouting and throwing a tantrum. In the end, Benjamin's face turned cold. He called her older brother to come and take her away. The third time was at our apartment. She showed up with Benjamin's mother and brought a check for 10 million yuan to try and buy me off. I glanced at it, then calmly tossed it into the trash. Over the past few years, I had built my company steadily and seriously. Its scale had expanded multiple times, valuation over $1 billion, and she wanted to buy me off? Please. After hearing what happened, Benjamin caused a huge scene at home. His father beat him for the first time. In a rage, Benjamin resigned from his role as CEO and relinquished his shares. Covered in bruises, he came to me seeking comfort, eyes rimmed red as he poured his grievances into my ear. I drove him to the hospital. While he was getting 4 fluids, he clutched my hand, whining softly, craving comfort. And at that moment, I knew this relationship had come to its end, but I didn't mind signing it off with one last bold stroke. So I turned to Amanda and mercilessly delivered the final blow. Amanda, Benjamin gave up his entire inheritance for me. Do you still think you have a chance? Under my repeated prodding, her hands began to tremble uncontrollably. She was slipping into madness. The next second, she lunged forward and shoved me violently. You bitch! I stumbled backward, straight into a towering champagne pyramid. The sharp crash of shattered glass echoed through the banquet hall. Gasps filled the room. Amanda, realizing the gravity of what she'd done, staggered back, face pale with panic. A stabbing pain bloomed in my lower abdomen. I instinctively clutched it, gasping. Just before everything went black, I heard my name being called. Benjamin's voice, hoarse and frantic, shouting as he rushed toward me through the chaos. Chapter 15. I woke up in a hospital room. When Benjamin looked at me, his expression was a mix of shock and joy. Instinctively, I touched my still flat stomach. Did we lose the baby? Half a month ago, I had accidentally discovered I was a month pregnant, but I chose to keep it to myself. Benjamin gripped my hand tightly, his voice trembling. We'll have another child someday. I weakly pulled my hand away. Seeing the panic in his eyes, I smiled and said, Benjamin, let's break up. He refused. He stubbornly intertwined our fingers, whispering an apology. This is all my fault. I didn't protect you. I turned my head to the side, avoiding his gaze. Benjamin, you and I both know the truth. Without the Ku family, you're nothing. Breaking up and moving on is the best outcome for both of us. To defy his family and be with me, he had chosen to start his own business, hoping for a comeback against the odds. But under silent pressure from the Ku family, every door had slammed in his face. When I finished speaking, he collapsed inward, defeated. His peach blossom eyes glazed over, and he began slapping his own cheeks, one hit at a time. I asked him quietly, what happened to Amanda Lee? Benjamin stayed silent for a long time before finally saying, her family had her committed to a psychiatric hospital. The hotel's security footage conveniently malfunctioned. The result didn't surprise me. With my current resources, I couldn't take on the Lee family. Only a Benjamin with real power could. Now, at least, he understood what had to be done. In the end, Benjamin didn't try to stop me. We parted ways, clean, composed, with dignity. Before I left, I said 2 things to him. I'll light a prayer lamp at Inshan Temple for our child. If someday you remember, and you have time, maybe you'll go there too. I was certain Benjamin would visit Inshan Temple every year after this. And if one day I'm in trouble, can I call you? Benjamin would wait his whole life for that call, but I would never make it. Chapter 16. Ava came to visit me while peeling an apple. She scolded me for being too sentimental. You hurt the enemy by 1,000 but lost 800 yourself. You were carrying the Ku family's grandchild. Don't you think they'd have welcomed you into their home just for that? I sighed and rubbed my forehead. Ava. She wiped away her tears angrily, clearly upset on my behalf. What? I said. Promise me you'll never get married. Just date a few male models and have fun. You're too soft-hearted. Just like my mother, too soft. She had me when she was 18, but she had no means to get an abortion, and even if she had, my grandfather would have sold her to some aging bachelor for a 30,000 yuan bride price. So she placed all her hopes in my father. There was no marriage certificate, no wedding, no title, nothing. She followed him without a name or a place in the world. The tragedy of my mother wasn't that she had too many bad choices, but that all her so-called options were illusions. In reality, she only had one path, marriage. Shaking off the sorrow, I opened my laptop and started working. Ava protested. "You're still recovering. Do you really have to push yourself so hard?" I smiled faintly. As part of their apology, the Koo family handed me a major project. I can't afford to waste any time. I've fought tooth and nail to climb upward, so I wouldn't end up living my mother's life all over again. Breaking up with Benjamin? That was just another escape route. Coming from a broken family doesn't mean I have some compulsive need to have a child to heal the wound. I'm only 24. My life is just beginning. There's a whole world waiting for me, brilliant and endless. From that point on, Benjamin and I completely cut ties. He returned to the Koo family. He never spoke of me again, but he rejected all arranged matches from his parents, choosing instead to throw himself fully into managing the family business. I never brought him up either. Not to anyone. We never ran into each other again. Not in public. Not in private. Chapter 17. 5 years later. The company I founded was thriving. After several rounds of funding, we finally went public. The moment I rang the Nasdaq bell, I felt dazed, like I couldn't believe I'd truly made it through grit and persistence. More and more people began calling me President Oriana with respect. That was, until one day, during a business negotiation in a private room, a drunken man barged in, unshaven, disheveled, reeking of alcohol, and pointed at me, shouting, "Oriana, you're nothing. Without the Koo family, you'd still be some nobody flipping burgers." It was Sean. I didn't bother being polite. I grabbed a wine bottle and smashed it over his head. A mangy dog barking at my door? Pathetic. 6 months ago, Benjamin became the Koo family's new patriarch and cleaned house, starting with people like the Lee family. And Sean's. I figured Sean had been stewing in resentment and decided to take it out on me. Enraged, his eyes bloodshot, he lunged at me, but the bodyguards didn't give him a chance. Slam. He was pinned face first onto the table. His little entourage was swiftly restrained as well. I apologized profusely to my clients for the disturbance. Then a warm, familiar voice came from the doorway. "Am I late to the rescue?" I looked up. Leaning casually on the doorframe was a tall, broad-shouldered figure in a tailored suit, Benjamin Koo. Refined and poised, he looked just as noble and elegant as the first time I'd seen him 10 years ago, sitting in the corner of a convenience store, glancing back at me. 10 long years. And now, he was standing right here. All those memories surged up like smoke, filling my heart. I smiled at this man, now more mature, more regal, and greeted him calmly. "Benjamin, long time no see." That night, Benjamin personally drove me home. The air in the car was thick with tension, unspoken emotions catching fire in the silence. Between adults, some feelings need no explanation. Chapter 18. The day I decided to marry Benjamin Koo, Ava was adamantly against it. "We're rich now," she said. "The Koo family once looked down on you. Why go jump back into the mud?" I replied, "Do you know why rich people marry among themselves? It's like everyone's panning for gold in a river. Some use their bare hands, some use nets. But wealthy families? They weave their nets together, interlinked, and that's how they catch most of the wealth." Ever since I worked my first job as a waitress at 14, standing all day just to earn 50 yuan, I've known one thing for sure: I'm materialistic. I love money, and the Koo family is the most pragmatic choice I could make. Just like at the wedding, when Amanda appeared in a white gown, storming in with red eyes, she pleaded with Benjamin to leave with her. I was selfish and stupid back then, but now I finally understand. It's not too late for us. But the man standing beside me didn't even flinch. He instructed security to escort her out and turned to me apologetically. "I'm sorry, I should have handled this better. I promise it won't happen again." I smiled graciously, waving it off. "Don't make a scene. There are some very important guests here today." Benjamin's parents, ever tactful, stepped in to handle the situation. I'd heard the Lee family was on the brink of bankruptcy. Amanda Lee was grasping at straws, gambling with one last desperate shot. But stripped of wealth, love in high society is nothing but a joke. After all, Cinderella was a duke's daughter in disguise, not a farmer's girl. Only when power matches power can a so-called fairy tale romance stand the test of time and gossip. Story 2. Reincarnated as the main character of a chasing wife after she leaves novel. The male lead can drop me at any moment to be by the side of his childhood sweetheart. This includes our engagement ceremony. But, knowing the plot in advance, I immediately used the male lead's money to sign 7 or 8 young boy toys. Every time his childhood sweetheart called him, I would leave before he could, answering her call first. Later, when the whole internet was shipping him and his childhood sweetheart as a couple, someone unexpectedly dug up my identity. I got up in the middle of the night and responded, "Sam? Oh, I know him, never dated, currently single." Chapter 1. When I found out I was reincarnated as the main character in a chasing wife after she leaves novel, I was so furious I didn't sleep for 3 days. In the book, the male lead and the original heroine are together, but their relationship is extremely unstable. The reason is that the male lead, Sam, has a childhood sweetheart named Anna. Anna has always liked Sam, and even though he has a girlfriend, she refuses to give up. Every time the original heroine was with Sam, Anna would create some kind of drama. She even pulled a suicide stunt by slitting her wrist at Sam and the original heroine's engagement. And Sam? He's a complete idiot who can't see things clearly. He claims that the original heroine is the one he loves the most. But every time Anna needed something, he dropped the heroine to run to Anna. Only when the original heroine was heartbroken and gave up did Sam realize his mistake. And thus began the long, drawn-out journey of chasing his wife. Belated love is as cheap as dirt. So I decided to change this pathetic situation of always being ditched. Actually, the original heroine's family is also well off, though not as rich as Sam. She's a legitimate second-generation rich girl with her own small talent agency. I immediately called Sam. When he answered, I mimicked the original heroine's voice. "Didn't I tell you before that I wanted to sign a few trainees? But my dad didn't agree, saying it was too expensive. So it didn't happen. I wanted to get your opinion on it." Sam seemed busy and told me to wait. Half an hour later, I received a transfer notification on my phone. I smirked. Mission accomplished. To be fair, Sam, as the heir to a conglomerate, has money and looks. Aside from being a scumbag, he really has no other flaws. So, the lesson here is, never fall in love with or marry such a guy. Because if anything goes wrong, people will say you're just being ungrateful. Without wasting time, I immediately posted a recruitment notice. Officially, it was to find new trainees for my company. But in reality, I was recruiting them to play a role in my show. I clearly stated that the benefits were excellent. Surprisingly, quite a few people came for the interview. I glanced over them briefly and ended up signing a few with particularly good looks. Chapter 2. That evening was Anna's birthday. It was also the first time Sam introduced me to Anna. It was during this time that the grudge was formed. In the original novel, Anna wanted the painting Water Lilies that Sam had recently won at an auction. But what she didn't know was that Sam had bought that painting specifically to give to me. From that point on, Anna held a grudge against me. And of course, Sam never knew how to say no. He had his reasons. He once said that when he was a child, his parents were always busy with the company, and they rarely had time to be with him. Anna played an irreplaceable role in his growth. The original heroine once asked him why he didn't just be with Anna. Then, Sam's explanation was that he always saw Anna as a sister and nothing more. But in my eyes, Anna's place in Sam's heart was no less important than the original heroine's. Even when Anna was responsible for ruining the original heroine's family by the end of the story, Sam still did everything he could to protect her. As a result, by the end of the novel, the original heroine and Sam never ended up together. If you can't love wholeheartedly, then don't talk about love. Love, like the eye, can't tolerate even a grain of sand. Chapter 3. That night, after failing to get the painting, Anna made an even more outrageous request. In front of me, Sam's legitimate girlfriend. She asked him to dance the duet they used to perform as children. If that's not a provocation, what is? In the book, even after they finished the dance, Sam didn't notice that the original heroine was upset. I don't know if it's because the original heroine was really good at hiding her emotions or if Sam was just blind and clueless. Anyway, this time, I jumped ahead of them and danced with one of my company's trainees instead. When you pay for something, it really makes a difference. They're always on call, and obedient too. Not to mention, he didn't lose to Sam in looks either. Not bad. I'll make sure you get a raise when we get back, I said with a smile. The person in front of me remained calm. As long as you're happy, sister. Oh my. Even his voice was soothing. Then he suddenly got serious and asked, but, sister, do you know my name? You won't forget me and just find someone else, will you? His slyness was written all over his face. The reason I signed 7 or 8 guys at once was precisely to confuse everyone. Of course, I wasn't just going to settle on him if Sam figured it out. The game wouldn't be as fun. Not wanting to make things complicated, I patiently asked, well, tell me your name, and I'll definitely remember it. For some reason, he seemed a bit down. Remember well, sister, my name is Lucas. Oh, even his name sounded nice. I couldn't help but take another look at him. At that moment, Sam, who was supposed to be dancing the duet with Anna, suddenly appeared in front of me, and just like that, the music stopped. Sam kept his usual gentle and refined smile. He didn't directly question me but extended his hand toward Lucas. Hello. Nice to meet you. The person you're holding is my girlfriend. I thought Lucas might get nervous in front of the CEO, given the awkwardness of his position, but to my surprise, there wasn't a trace of hesitation in his smile. It even carried a hint of confidence. As if he was determined to win, he casually reached out and shook Sam's hand. Hello, I'm Lucas, Emma's future boyfriend. This stunned not just me. Sam's smile froze for a second, but he quickly regained his composure and immediately asserted his claim. Sorry, but you won't get that chance. Emma and I are definitely getting married. If I hadn't read the book, I might have believed him. Lucas pulled his hand back and smiled. It's all right. Time will tell. What's with all the theatrics? He's so good at acting. It feels like a waste to have him working for me. Sam put his arm around me and asked, clearly knowing the answer. Emma, what's wrong with your eyes? Right. My eyes were practically twitching from this. Lucas was still standing there, oblivious to the tension. Young people really don't know how to read the room. This delay naturally didn't sit well with Anna. After all, today was supposed to be her big day. As expected, her high heels were too high, and she twisted her ankle. Sam was about to let go of my shoulder to check on her, but I seized the moment, grabbing Sam's hand and saying, Sam, I just remembered. I haven't fed my dog at home. I should head back. That was close. I almost didn't beat him to it. According to the original plot, Anna pretended her injury was serious, and Sam rushed her to the hospital. After dealing with the situation, he'd remember me, but by then, the original heroine would have gone home late and ended up being stalked. Fortunately, she outsmarted the stalker in the end, but the consequences could have been disastrous. Not waiting for Sam to answer, I grabbed Lucas and took off. Chapter 4. Lucas seemed to be in a good mood, a charming smile curving at the corners of his lips. How did you know I was hungry? Sister? My brain short-circuited for a second. What? I'm guessing you don't actually have a dog. Do you? Something told me that Lucas wasn't as simple as his name suggested. At the barbecue place, I stared at him for 10 minutes straight and still couldn't figure him out. How did you know I don't have a dog? So you've been frowning this whole time just to figure that out? I didn't want to admit it, so I changed the subject. You keep calling me sister. How old are you? I just turned 22, only 3 years younger than me, yet he's as sharp as a fox. Can I get a blessing from you, sister? I just turned 22 today. I was speechless. Why didn't you say so earlier? I didn't even prepare a gift. Just as Lucas was about to say something, Sam suddenly called, Emma, where are you? From the sound of his voice, he was probably still at the hospital. Why is it so noisy over there? Didn't you say you were going home? Just as I was about to answer, Anna's voice came through at just the right moment. Honestly, the fact that the original heroine put up with this for so long really shows it must have been true love. I held the phone to my mouth, resisting the urge to roll my eyes, and said, "You should take care of yourself. No need to worry about me." With that, I hung up the phone. I was just enjoying my grilled skewers, and he had to ruin the mood. Since I hadn't hidden the call from Lucas, he must have heard everything. Surprisingly, he didn't take the opportunity to comment on Sam and just quietly continued eating. I poured 2 cups of alcohol and handed one to him. "Lucas, happy birthday!" "Thank you, Emma. Why aren't you calling me sister anymore? You look younger than me." I laughed. "I'll take that as a compliment." When we finished eating and left, Sam's car was conveniently parked right outside the entrance. He stormed out of the car, glaring at Lucas with hostility. "Is this what you meant by feeding the dog?" I gave an awkward smile, brushing my hair back with my hand. "A puppy is still a dog." Sam pulled his gaze away from Lucas angrily, grabbed me by the arm, and softened his tone. "It's late. Let me take you home." I didn't refuse. In the car, neither of us spoke until we reached the underground parking lot of my apartment complex. Then, suddenly, Sam locked the car doors. The dim lighting inside the car made it hard to see his expression, but his voice sounded cold. "Aren't you going to explain?" "Explain what, Lucas? Having a late-night snack with a friend is normal, isn't it?" He turned his head to look at me. "That's not what I mean." "Then what is it?" "I mean, could he just get to the point? Why did you lie?" I couldn't help but correct him. "It's not called lying. It's called making an excuse. There's a difference between the two, but I'm not happy about it." I almost burst out laughing. Honestly, if he knew my ultimate goal, would he be so angry that he'd spit blood? "You made me unhappy, so I had to take something from you in return." "What?" Before I could react, Sam leaned over and kissed me on the lips. My mind exploded in shock, and I angrily pushed him away. But I caught a whiff of jasmine perfume at the tip of my nose and a scent. Remembering my current role, I forced myself to hold back the urge to lash out. "You're really something, you know?" I wasn't ready. "Don't let this happen again next time." Just to be clear, if there is a next time, I'm going to bash his head in. "No, there won't be a second time. I'll make sure of it." Sam smiled indulgently. "Why are you so cute?" "Honestly, guys, I can't deal with this anymore. And don't compliment me like that again. It gives me goosebumps." "Emma, Sam, it's really late. I'm tired." He was silent for a moment before he pressed the unlock button on the car door. Chapter 5. I'm not sure if my attitude made Sam feel a sense of crisis, but he started sending flowers regularly. I didn't hold back. I accepted them all. That afternoon, I received a friend request from a stranger. For some reason, my sixth sense told me it was Anna. I immediately accepted the request. Sure enough, as soon as I did, Anna sent several photos in quick succession. It was obvious that they were taken the night Sam took her to the hospital. Her face wasn't in the pictures. The focus was entirely on Sam, but it was clear from the photos that their actions were intimate, and their relationship was anything but ordinary. I pretended not to notice anyone else in the photos and replied, "You're making my boyfriend look so handsome. Do you have a death wish?" Since she sent them, I had to comment, right? Watching her status say typing. For so long, I smiled to myself. "So you're not replying? I'll take that as an agreement then." "Oh, and by the way, my boyfriend isn't just handsome, he's romantic too. The flowers he sent me are taking up my entire office." I returned the favor and sent her a few photos of my own. On the other end, there was complete silence. Already giving up? I was just getting started. I kept going. "You're so good at taking photos. When we get married, you should help us with the wedding shoot." "Don't worry. My boyfriend is filthy rich, the price will be just right." The next second, she blocked me. What a coward. Can't handle a little fun? Chapter 6. Recently, the TV station has been planning the most competitive talent show ever. Called The Peak Show, it's different from previous talent shows. The purpose of this program is to create a batch of well-rounded artists. The trainees participating not only need to sing and dance, but they also have to be good at acting. The lineup of judges is shockingly strong. All of them are veterans of the industry who have excelled in multiple areas. I didn't think much of it at first, until I found out that Sam was the biggest investor in the show. According to the original book, Sam had a knack for investments, and the projects he backed were almost guaranteed successes. In other words, this show is very likely to be a huge hit. Seeing Lucas's natural and smooth acting that day left me itching to take action. Since I already signed them, why not let them go out and get some experience? With 8 trainees, if even 2 of them become stars, it would be enough to sustain the company. If I'm lucky, I might even be able to pay back Sam's money. I found Lucas in the practice room with the gift I had picked out during a recent shopping trip. Watching him sing so earnestly, I didn't have the heart to interrupt. His voice had a unique youthful quality, full of power and presence, combined with his good looks and appearance. He had the whole package. For a moment, I could almost see him standing under the spotlight, dazzling, with fans screaming his name from the audience. Some people really are born for this. After he finished singing, I finally stepped inside. Lucas seemed surprised that I had come to see him in person, looking a bit flattered. "Sister," I handed him the gift. "I didn't have time to get you something for your birthday last time. I saw this guitar while shopping and thought it suited you. It wasn't a real guitar, just a special decorative piece." "Thank you, sister." Lucas's joy was evident as he looked at the gift over and over. After the small talk, I got straight to the point. When he heard my suggestion, his expression grew serious. I couldn't help but say as I sat beside him, "You don't have to answer right away. If you want to go, we can re-sign the contract. If you make it big, I'll only take a reasonable share. I won't exploit any of the artists. You can trust me." Lucas smiled lightly, not seeming too concerned. "That's not what I'm worried about. I'm just afraid it'll be a long time before I can see you again. With that sweet mouth of yours, you're bound to win a lot of fans." I couldn't help but comment. Lucas countered, "Does that include you? I'll be backstage, voting for you." "All right. I'll go on the show and bring back a championship for you." Young people really do have spirit. Still, worried he might be under too much pressure, I patted his shoulder and said, "Just do your best. Don't worry too much about the results. Gold shines no matter where it is." With Lucas on board, the other trainees were easy to convince. 5 trainees passed the company's internal evaluation, and unsurprisingly, Lucas ranked first. I started to look forward to seeing them shine on stage. Chapter 7. As the show's premiere approached, Sam finally finished up his work. When he drove to pick me up for dinner, I knew it wouldn't be long before he would leave me again. Sam chose a nice Western restaurant, and according to the plot in the book, Anna would call him halfway through the meal, saying that the dog she had raised since childhood had gone missing. The key point is that this dog was a gift from Sam to Anna. On the phone, Anna cried her heart out. And of course, Sam's heart softened. He almost tripped over a chair as he rushed to leave. True heartbreak doesn't come from shouting and fighting, and true disappointment doesn't come with tears. I silently counted the time in my head while making casual conversation with Sam. At that moment, the waiter brought out 2 plates of steak. Sam cut his steak into evenly sized pieces, then pushed the plate toward me. "Go ahead and eat." Oh, the original heroine was probably trapped in these small gestures, unable to pull herself out. In reality, if you ever feel the need to compromise yourself to maintain a relationship, you should get out as quickly as possible. That kind of self-sacrifice will only get worse over time. Right on the dot at 8 o'clock. As if on cue, my phone rang. I didn't even look at the caller ID. Picking up, I didn't wait for the other person to speak before saying, "All right, I got it. I'm on my way." Sam looked completely confused. "It's like this," I explained with a serious expression. "My best friend just attempted suicide by slitting her wrists. You wouldn't know, but she's been struggling with depression." I said it with utmost sincerity. "Sorry, my dear bestie, but I've got to sacrifice you for my own sake this time. We'll be besties again in the next life." I grabbed my bag and got up to leave, while Sam stood up, clearly wanting to say something. Right then, his phone rang as well. Enemy forces will arrive in 5 seconds. Before Sam could even pick up, I had successfully exited the scene. A real contest doesn't always require a direct confrontation. I bailed out of the fight like a coward. Soon, a very cool motorcycle pulled up in front of me. That speed? Definitely worthy of a 5-star rating. But the moment the rider took off the helmet, my smile froze. Why was it Lucas? I thought Luis had an upset stomach, so he asked me to come instead. I gave him a look that screamed, "Yeah, right," which prompted Lucas to pull out his phone, ready to call Luis for proof. "All right, I believe you." He stared at me for a few seconds, as if trying to gauge whether I really did believe him, before finally relaxing. "Hold on tight, sister. It's a bit windy tonight." I had barely gotten on the bike when Lucas couldn't resist reminding me. I joked, "How strong could the wind possibly be to blow me off?" "It's not that the wind is strong. It's that you're too skinny." I laughed and playfully pinched his arm. I don't know if he was raised on honey or what. As luck would have it, we ran into Sam and Anna looking for the dog on the way. Fate really is funny that way. Fortunately, we both had our helmets on, so Sam didn't recognize us. Lucas, being Lucas, made a point of riding circles around them on the motorcycle, blatantly and arrogantly showing off. It wasn't until I threatened him fiercely that Lucas reluctantly drove away. Chapter 8. With the airing of the peak show, the panel of judges was finally revealed. What surprised me the most was that Anna was invited as a special guest. She's someone who runs a fashion brand, and yet they invited her to a talent show to evaluate the trainees' fashion sense. Isn't that something that can be developed later? Plus, fashion for artists is usually handled by their agency. I wasn't the only one confused. Many viewers voiced their opinions, saying they didn't understand either. But that's just how shameless production teams can be. The more controversy, the higher the ratings. After only a few episodes, Anna became a sensation. The reason? According to insider reports, Anna is the girlfriend of the show's biggest investor, Sam, and her appearance on the show is actually for learning purposes. To prove the authenticity of the scoop, the whistleblower uploaded a ton of photos of Anna and Sam together, including pictures of them at the hospital and searching for the dog. This was a calculated move, and the original heroine was always destined to lose. Anna even posted a suggestive tweet, "I still prefer to stay low-key." In no time, everyone chose to believe the story. My best friend angrily called me, "Anna is shameless. It's the first time I've seen a mistress flaunt herself so arrogantly." "Emma, get out here and expose her." "I won't expose her. If I'm going to, I'll wait until after the show ends. I've invested the company's treasures into this. Compared to the future careers of those 5 trainees, Sam is nothing. Only Anna treats him like a precious treasure, terrified someone will take him away. When Sam loves me the most, that's when I'll have my best weapon." As expected, Sam called me out to apologize and even brought an expensive gift. "Emma, you know I've invested heavily in this show, and right now it's at its peak. If I clarify things now, not only will Anna be affected, but the show will take a hit too. I hope you understand. Once the show finishes, I'll announce our wedding date right away, okay? See? Nothing is more important to him than his business. He even wants me to understand him in a situation like this. He's always been sure that I wouldn't leave him. Otherwise, the chasing wife after she leaves plot wouldn't exist." I didn't agree to his request but instead asked, "Is Anna on the peak show because of you?" Sam nodded. "I once promised her I would help her with 3 things. I smiled, not angry. "And how many have you done so far?" 2. "There's still one left." I didn't need to ask. I already knew. The last one would be leaving me at our engagement ceremony. "Sam, if I told you that Anna would eventually destroy our relationship and we wouldn't be able to stay together, would you believe me?" He suddenly grabbed my hand and said slowly, word by word, "Emma, I've said before, I only see Anna as a sister. There's no way she could come between us." Of course, he wouldn't believe it. "All right, I get it." Chapter 9. When we got back, I asked Sam to stop at the gate of the neighborhood. I hadn't walked far before I saw a familiar figure. "Sister." It was Lucas. He was wearing a black hat and a black mask, wrapped up tightly. Since the peak show aired, Lucas had become the most popular contestant thanks to his outstanding performance. Looking at him now, it was only a matter of time before he debuted. But at this critical moment, he shouldn't be here. You're not at the training center. Why are you here? Lucas glanced at what I was holding, and for some reason, his eyes reddened. I was worried about you. Worried about what? You're just tolerating him giving you things? It took me a moment to understand what he meant. Lucas, this isn't something you should be involved in. And what if I insist? I can give you everything he gives you. And what he can't give you, I can, as long as you. I cut him off coldly. Lucas, Sam has already left. You don't need to keep acting. Emma, I wasn't acting. Not from the beginning. Lucas, do you even know what you're saying? I know. He looked straight at me, his eyes full of determination. It made my heart race. Given the situation, I had to patiently explain. Don't get distracted by all this nonsense. Let's talk after the competition, okay? No, you're wrong. To me, this is more important than anything else. Emma, you deserve someone better. I have to admit, those words hit me in the right spot. The final person may not be Lucas, but it certainly won't be Sam. Lucas, thank you. You're right. Go back and focus on the competition. Show me what you can do. I wasn't sure how Lucas interpreted that, but he seemed very happy when he left. Now I have a bit of a headache. Just as one issue started to settle, another one came up. Chapter 10. As the Peak show aired more episodes, the buzz surrounding it grew, reaching unprecedented heights. Lucas's popularity skyrocketed, making him one of the hottest rising male stars. Even before his official debut, brands and scripts were already flooding in. I found myself getting busier as well. The day before the final, I received a text message from an unknown number. If you want Lucas to compete smoothly, you'd better not show up tomorrow night. They also sent a photo of Lucas coming to see me that night. Because of the angle, it looked like we were kissing. If this photo got out, Lucas's career could be over before it even started. Forget about the red carpet. Anna really has never done anything above board in her life. Since tomorrow night was the final, the show was going to be broadcast live. The entire process would be open and transparent, with live voting to ensure a fair and just competition. It also allowed fans to watch their favorite trainees debut in real time. Sam had specially arranged an excellent seat for me, based on Anna's actions. She must have found out something. The only reason I could think of for her to go to such lengths to keep me away was that Sam planned to propose to me. Judging by the timeline, I was even more convinced of my guess. So on the day Lucas made his dramatic debut, I didn't attend. When he called me, he sounded a bit excited. I brought back what you wanted. I smiled. Congratulations. Lucas sounded a little dissatisfied. Is that all you have to say? I do. May your career be brilliant. And may you always be loved. But Emma, none of that is what I want. I went silent, not daring to press further. After a pause, he added, but I don't dislike this feeling. Maybe I'll even come to like it. I pretended to be stern. I'm still waiting for you to make money for my company. You better make sure you like it. Out of the 5 trainees we sent, only Lucas and Luis debuted successfully, but that was already pretty impressive. They all went off to celebrate in high spirits. Meanwhile, I waited for Sam. He had appeared during the live broadcast tonight as the biggest investor, but his face was dark the whole time, maybe because I stood him up. Sure enough, the moment he arrived, he started questioning me. I arranged everything, planning to propose to you tonight, but you didn't show up at all. Emma, why? In contrast to his frustration, I was much calmer. Why? Don't you already know? Anna is still your rumored girlfriend, and you're proposing to me publicly? I'd be crazy to show up. He still didn't understand. I just have to say that she's like a sister to me. Why do you always bring up Anna? I found it laughable. Sam, just because you like Anna doesn't mean I have to like her too. If Anna has to be a part of our relationship, then you two can play your own game. Why drag me into it? This time, he finally panicked. I'll make a public clarification right now, okay? It's useless. If I forgive him this easily, there will just be countless more times. Just after he released the clarification, Anna slit her wrists. Looks like the plot is ahead of schedule. Sam was frantic. Emma, this is a matter of life and death. I can't just stand by and watch her die. I'm sorry. I love you. Sam, if you go to her today, there will be no chance for us. His face was close to breaking. Emma, this is a human life. How can you be so cold-blooded? Sam, do you think the world stops spinning without you? If she really wants to die, you can't stop her. If she doesn't, there's always 911. Just admit it. You love the feeling of bouncing between two women. You think you're irresistible, that neither of us can live without you. It feeds your ego. You're just too vain to let go of either one of us. He looked at me with a face full of disappointment. Emma, I feel like I've never really known you. I took a few steps back. Looks like you've already made your choice. Without waiting for his response, I drove away. Finally, I had found the perfect reason to break up with Sam. I let out a long sigh of relief. As the car moved down the empty road, the wind was free, and the night was beautiful. Chapter 11. Sam's public statement naturally pushed Anna into the spotlight. She must have anticipated it, so she staged a wrist-slitting stunt. Before the netizens had a chance to turn on her, she posted photos of her wrist-slitting attempt on Weibo, claiming she had depression. This move silenced the internet. Since there was someone else involved, some bored people began digging into Sam's current girlfriend, trying to figure out who she was. Before long, I became a prime suspect. But it was only speculation. Is this Emma woman really that tolerant? If it were me, I wouldn't accept Sam having such a close sister around all the time. And the way Anna looks at Sam isn't exactly innocent. Who knows what's true or false? People are just here for entertainment. As expected, the public isn't blind. Immediately, I used my own account to post a clarification, specifically for myself. Sam? I know him, never dated, currently single. After posting, I got busy. Recently, I helped Lucas and Luis land a few endorsements and film scripts, and I've received some payments. After thinking it over, I decided to return the money Sam had given me. I didn't want to owe anyone, especially not Sam. But when Sam saw my public statement and received the money back, he went mad. That night, it rained heavily. He stood outside my apartment building, calling me over and over again. I sat by the window, watching the figure in the rain, and couldn't help but muse, it's only raining. Why isn't it thundering too? Sam's messages came flooding in, one after another. Emma, come down. I need to talk to you. Emma, I was wrong. Anna lied to me. She didn't even cut deep when she slit her wrists. And she doesn't have depression. It was my fault. Can we make up? I was a little surprised at how quickly he found out. But what did it matter to me? From the start, I was just going through the motions, waiting for the right moment to break up. As for Anna, if it hadn't been for her crazy stunts, I might not have been able to get rid of Sam so quickly. My real goal was just to make a lot of money and then relax. If I wanted a relationship, there are plenty of men in the world. I'm young and beautiful, why hang myself on a crooked tree? Despite me ignoring his calls and messages, Sam was remarkably patient. He had no intention of giving up. I understood what was happening. He was trying to alleviate his guilt by hurting himself. There was even a bit of gambling involved. If I softened, everything would be much easier for him. But as for me, I've always been known for being heartless. To add to it, I decided to video call Lucas, who was shooting a commercial out of town. Did you miss me, sister? His voice was as annoying as ever. I kept my tone as professional as possible. How's the shoot going? He still seemed busy. Almost done. Once I'm finished, I'll fly right back. Wait for me. Sister, stop teasing. Take care of yourself. After hanging up, I noticed Anna had arrived at some point too. She was holding an umbrella for Sam, but Sam refused her, avoiding her like she was the plague. The two of them chased each other around, and somehow they managed to break the umbrella in the process. Seriously, a lightning bolt needs to strike them both. I didn't have time to watch their drama. I turned off the lights and went to bed. Chapter 12. But who would have thought? When I opened the door the next morning, I found Sam asleep at my doorstep. His clothes were still soaked. Wow. Please don't die at my door. That would be such bad luck. I immediately called 911. Taking care of Sam was something Anna would love to do, so I used Sam's phone to call her. Sam, you're finally answering me? I cleared my throat with a couple of coughs. Sorry. It's me. Your dear Sam is about to lose his life. I suggest you hurry and take him to the hospital. And guess what? Anna arrived faster than the paramedics. I couldn't help but think she had never left, just waiting in the car the whole time. Emma, if anything happens to Sam, I'll never let you off the hook. I shrugged and asked, and how exactly are you planning to not let me off the hook? It seemed she thought of something and stood up. Don't think that just because you have Lucas helping you, you're invincible. You still have family, and there will be times when you can't protect them all. Emma, you can't win against me. In the original story, Anna bribed a college student to falsely accuse my father of harassment, which ultimately led to my parents being murdered by the girl's boyfriend. Thinking of that, I could no longer keep calm. You threatened me with my trainees' futures before the finals, but if you dare to lay a finger on my family, I swear I'll kill you. She won't get the chance. It was Sam's voice. I had already known he was awake. Anna turned around in disbelief, her expression stiff. Sam, you're awake. Sam's voice was as cold as ice. If I hadn't woken up, I wouldn't have known just how despicable and shameless you are. My relationship with Emma was stable, but you kept interfering again and again, and that's why we've ended up like this. Anna, you make me sick. To be fair, Sam is pretty disgusting too. Anna shook her head repeatedly. No, Sam, anyone can say that about me, but not you. Everything I did because I love you. She then tried to hug Sam, but naturally, he pushed her to the ground. Anna cried. Sam, you can't do this to me. When we were kids, you promised to protect me for life, to always treat me well. You can't break your word. Sam looked furious. Anna, take a good look at yourself. Do you still have that kind and gentle nature from when we were kids? Now you're jealous, despicable, and shameless. Do you still need my protection? I once saved your life. Have you forgotten that? Anna played her last card. She wasn't wrong. It was mentioned in the original story. There was a time when Sam was attacked by a rival, and Anna took the blow for him. Though the injury wasn't serious, it had a big impact on Sam. But Sam responded, you did save me, but that doesn't erase the crimes you've committed. Finally, Sam rubbed his temples, as if making a difficult decision, and said, I don't want to see you anymore. Pack your things tonight and go abroad. In other words, he was giving her a chance to leave before things got worse. I had already expected Sam to go easy on her. Never try to change someone, and certainly never place your hopes on them. In the end, the only thing we can do in life is to constantly improve ourselves, to become better and better. When you bloom, the breeze will come on its own. Chapter 13. Anna was sent abroad by Sam overnight. The next day, he appeared in front of me with flowers, a ring, and the media. Emma, I have no way out. If you reject me again today, I'll be mocked by everyone. Don't be so cruel to me, okay? I was so shocked my jaw nearly dropped. I have my limits, but Sam doesn't. Honestly, I don't understand why Sam is so persistent with me. Is it a man's innate desire for conquest? How ridiculous. Wait, aren't you forgetting something? I asked. As far as I know, we've already broken up. I never agreed to that. Sam said firmly. Before, I was blinded, but from now on, no matter what happens, you'll always come first. Emma, marry me. Sam suddenly knelt on one knee, looking up at me. The cameras were all set up, ready to capture the moment. I ignored it all, looking at him coldly. Sam, you have no shame in putting me in this position, so why should I care about saving your face? Others might not know, but given everything you've done, you should have already considered the worst outcome, right? If I agreed to marry him, he'd win both love and success. If I didn't, he'd create an image of a heartbroken, deep lover and gain sympathy from the public. That's exactly what happened later in the original story. He could love someone, but he would never be so foolish as to not care about anything else. After hearing my words, Sam's eyes started to redden. He grabbed my hand and asked, word by word, do I still have a place in your heart? I looked down at him and smiled slightly. If you're asking that question, you should already know the answer. With that, I slowly pried his fingers off one by one. Then, out of nowhere, I suddenly clutched my head and cried out in pain. I told you not to push me. Do you think bringing all these people here will make me give in? You and your little childhood sweetheart are still tangled up. So how do you have the nerve to chase after me? I've already told you I don't like you. Please, just leave me alone. If not, I'll jump off a building. Will that be enough for you? Are you satisfied now? Boo-hoo. I forced a few tears to come out. Since Sam had brought all these reporters, it would be a waste not to use them, right? Sam was completely dumbfounded. I kept shouting at the cameras, please, help me. Help me get rid of him. I really can't take it anymore. Do I really have to jump off a building? I still have my parents. And just like that, crying helplessly, I left the scene surrounded by the media, leaving Sam all alone. Oh yes. Mission Wounded Male Leads World accomplished. And I was completely free. Chapter 14. Lucas came back 3 days later. His popularity now rivaled that of top-tier stars. The number of fans at the airport to greet him was overwhelming. I waited for him in the car. All I heard was a loud commotion, and then the car door opened, and I was suddenly embraced tightly. Sister actually came to pick me up. Looks like I need to keep working hard to get this kind of treatment. He hugged me so tightly that I could barely breathe and had to keep pounding on him. Lucas, are you rebelling? Noticing his overenthusiasm, he quickly sat upright. I saw the trending topic. Sister, you're really something else. He was referring to the trending topic about Sam's failed proposal and how he was being criticized all over the internet. Thanks to the media, the video from that day was fully displayed for the entire public to see. Headlines like Emma almost jumped off a building after being forced to marry Sam were everywhere. Someone even leaked footage of Sam sending Anna off at the airport, where they hugged. What a scumbag. Eating from one bowl while eyeing another. Gross. Emma already clarified her relationship with Sam. What else is this if not forcing a marriage? Having money doesn't give you the right to be disgusting. If I were Emma, I'd have kicked him to the curb ages ago. Some people even went to the company's official website to vent, saying Sam didn't deserve his position. In just a few days, Sam's family company's stock took a nosedive. In the end, the old man had to announce a new heir overnight to calm things down. That's how it goes with the rich. If you're not good enough, there's always someone ready to replace you. Sam lost his position as heir, and there was no chance of him ever making a comeback. Lucas tilted his head, noticing I hadn't responded. What's wrong? Did I say something wrong? Lucas, we need to talk sometime. I wasn't unaware of his feelings for me. I'd just been avoiding them. At his age, it's normal to be curious about a lot of different things, but he probably doesn't know what's truly right for him yet. Although I never strictly forbade my trainees from dating, given the current situation, I hoped he'd focus on his career for his sake, but also for mine. Right now, he's my company's cash cow. My early retirement depends on him. Let's go to my place. Probably worried I'd get the wrong idea. He explained. Your place was photographed last time. No one dares come where I live. I was skeptical, but when the car drove into one of the city's most exclusive neighborhoods, the kind of place where even money can't always buy a home, I began to feel that something wasn't right. You're not going to tell me you live here, are you? Sister, you should have learned more about me by now. He led me into his private domain. I still couldn't quite believe it. You live here, and you came to my company to work as a trainee for 5,000 yuan a month? Are you out of your mind? Lucas laughed so hard he was gasping for air. No, but it turns out my choice was the right one. People need to think long-term. He looked at me and repeated, Sister, I've always had a good eye. Wait, what? Why does that sound off? Hold on. First tell me, how did Anna find out about us? Lucas blinked innocently. Why don't you guess why she didn't use those secretly taken photos to get back at us? Do you think she didn't want to? I started to understand it was because Lucas's backing was not so simple. She did try to bribe the paparazzi, but they didn't have the guts to stir up trouble. And that fake depression diagnosis? I had a doctor friend relay that to Sam. I didn't want to get involved at first. I was afraid that if you cleared up the misunderstanding, you'd get back together with him, but I just couldn't stand it anymore. Nobody knows how happy I was when you said you were single that day. I wanted to shout to the world, Emma, I like you. Wait, how did things get so out of control again? What was I even here for? Lucas, listen to me. I know what you're going to say. You're going to tell me I'm still young and don't know what I want. But I can tell you clearly, I don't need anything else. I only want you. This is crazy. I can't handle this. At this point, do you really think I care about the entertainment industry or its profits? Wait, can I call you brother? You might not care, but I do. We signed a 10-year contract. Then it hit me, he probably doesn't even care about the breach penalty. That's why I went to the peak show. My goal was simple. From the very beginning, it was all for you. Right now, the clever, quick-witted me is gone. Even my jaw seemed ready to leave home. Lucas, you're really something, sharp as a fox. He smiled and gently pushed my jaw back into place, his eyes sparkling. So, sister, can you give me a chance? Why me? Lucas thought for a moment and said, I'll tell you when I win you over. Now he's playing mysterious. Am I that easy to win over? Speaking of which, it's really hard to fight human curiosity. In the 3rd year of knowing Lucas, we got together. During that time, Sam came to see me again, telling me he regretted everything, that he regretted ever meeting me. I replied, what a coincidence. I feel the same. After that, Sam never showed up again. When we bumped into each other by chance, we were like strangers. Later on, all the other trainees I signed debuted successfully through various talent shows. Some became overnight sensations, while others built solid careers step by step. Lucas would often complain that I was spending too much time on them. Every time, I would correct him. I just want all of them to have a good ending. From then on, Lucas never complained again. In fact, whenever there were new shows or films, he would recommend them to directors. Now, sister, you'll only have eyes for me. Turns out, that was Lucas's goal all along. Looking at his young, handsome face, I pinched him hard and laughed, saying, all right, from now on, I'll only watch you. Life had finally turned out the way I had always dreamed it would. Chapter 15, Lucas's Perspective. I transmigrated into the book. Good news, it's that female protagonist novel I'd read. Bad news, I'm just a minor background character. I was pretty frustrated. Why is it that when other people transmigrate, they become the male lead? At the very least, they get to be the 2nd or 3rd male lead. And to top it off, the female lead I had pitied so much while reading the novel had absolutely nothing to do with me. Who can stand that? I needed to find the female lead, to stick close to her sweet and soft self. The surprise was, the female lead's company was recruiting trainees. Why wasn't the plot following the original storyline? Never mind. I rushed right in. No surprise. I got selected. I have to say, the female lead really has good taste. But according to reliable sources, her real purpose wasn't to recruit trainees, but to deal with her boyfriend. Isn't her boyfriend the male lead? No, I should say, he's the kind of scumbag that even I, as a guy, want to punch twice. As soon as I joined the company, I bought all the guys a new set of gaming gear. So, when the female lead's assistant came around to pick someone for a task, everyone instinctively looked at me first. That's right. I was the first to seize the opportunity. It was the first time I saw the female lead. The novel had long passages describing her appearance. But to me, words fell short. They couldn't fully capture her beauty. Sigh. Don't stay with that scumbag. Be with me instead. Even though I'm just a background character, my background is strong, and I'm gentle, caring, and have everything she could ever want. It's no exaggeration to say that even the male lead would have to bow down before me. Even if I'm a background character, I'm an awakened one. She asked me to dance with her. I held her close, soft and fragrant. And for some reason, that made me so happy. Then the male lead suddenly showed up, ruining the moment, and my introduction caught them completely off guard. She gave me a look, trying to tell me to slip away. But how should I put this? The word slip away doesn't suit me. Going head to head with the male lead? That's pure exhilaration. She calls me a puppy. Fine. A puppy I'll be, as long as it makes her happy. And yeah, it really was my birthday that day. But in the end, she still left with the male lead. Right. Because now they're the official couple. It was a sad truth to face. But, considering she later made it up to me with a birthday gift, I agreed to join that silly talent show. And I even promised to bring home the championship. Emma kept saying just do your best. But I knew she still hoped we'd come out on top. Maybe I didn't perform well enough last time, because this time she called Luis instead. Him? He's bound to blow it. I sent him another gaming skin. When Emma saw it was me, she looked surprised and a little suspicious. I pretended to get mad and threatened to call Luis. And she immediately believed me. Damn, that's how Sam tricked her too, causing her so much pain. I swear, this was the first and last time I'll deceive her. Anna became Sam's rumored girlfriend, and they really are a perfect match, locked together for good. I was happy, but at the same time, I feared she might be hurt. In the end, I couldn't resist secretly going to see her. I told her that everything Sam could do, I could do too, and the things Sam couldn't do, I could do those as well. But clearly, Emma turned me down. On the day of the final, I couldn't stop myself from calling her right after I stepped off stage. That's when I found out why she didn't come. Dirty tricks only work so many times. Since I got here, the happiest moment wasn't becoming a trainee at her company, nor debuting as the champion. It was when she said she was single. Opportunities favor the prepared. She rejected the male lead's proposal, and she turned the tables beautifully. I was so happy I could have jumped for joy. I wanted to fly back and hug her right away. It was something I had thought about doing so many times but never dared. Finally, I can openly pursue her. On the 3rd anniversary of my debut, I confessed to her at my concert, and she said yes. Now the whole world knows that Emma is my girlfriend. Maybe it's because of the example set by the previous top celebrity. But after we went public, all we received was support and blessings. It might also have a lot to do with the fact that I'm not following the idol route. Actually, Sam had already come to me before and asked who Justin was. I told him, that's my dad, and I'm proud of him. After hearing that, he went silent and left. Guess he met his match and chickened out. Doesn't matter. We'll keep showing off our love to him. The end.